Dodecahedron. The Roman dodecahedron sits behind glass in several European museums, yet it refuses to explain itself. This hollow bronze object has 12 flat faces, and a round hole in each side, and every corner ends in a small knob. Most examples fit in a human palm. They feel heavy for their size, firm in the hand, and oddly deliberate in design. Experts date these pieces to the 2nd through 4th century CE, placing them firmly inside the Roman Empire's high period. About 100 have been recovered so far from regions that once formed the empire's northern edge, including modern France, Germany, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. No single site dominates, and that widespread raises more questions than answers about how Romans used them, and why so many turned up so far from the empire's heart. Archaeologists first noticed these objects during 19th century digs, and every decade since has produced another handful. Each discovery brings excitement, but the same mystery remains. No Roman writer ever mentioned them, even though Romans loved to describe their tools, customs, and rituals in great detail. No carvings show them. No inventory records list them. The silence feels strange because Roman life was filled with documentation, yet these items slip through the historical net without a word. Scholars have waited for a clue for more than a century, but nothing in surviving records explains their purpose. Many theories appeared over time. Some said the objects held candles, though soot stains are rare and uneven. Others suggested they fit over fingers like tools for knitting gloves, yet there are nowhere marks around the holes that would prove string or thread passed through them. A few believe they worked as dice or game pieces, but the varied hole sizes make that unlikely. One respected group even proposed they measure distances or track stars. Tests tried to match the holes to known Roman measuring systems, but the numbers never settled into a pattern. Again and again, each theory broke down under close study. Today, visitors can see these pieces at places like the Carinium Museum in England and the Musée de la Civilisation Gallo-Romaine in France. They sit in stable cases with clean lighting and clear labels, inviting long looks. Experimental archaeology still tests new ideas, yet no definite function has emerged. The mystery continues, and the object's meaning remains hidden. The Roman dodecahedron now stands as proof that a culture can leave behind flawless craftsmanship yet lose the story that once made it useful. Lizardhead. The Ubaid lizardhead figurines rest in quiet cases, yet they hold a strange pull on anyone who studies early Mesopotamia. These small clay figures show long bodies, thin arms, and legs that bend in human ways, but the heads stretch forward like reptiles. The snouts taper, the eyes sit high, and the mouths remain closed. Some figures show clear signs of gender, yet the overall form stays outside anything fully human. The combination feels deliberate, not accidental. Every curve and feature suggests the artists wanted both worlds in one body. Archaeologists uncovered these figurines in southern Iraq at sites such as Tel al-Ubaid, Eridu, and Ur. They date to around 4000 to 3500 BC, a time known as the Ubaid period. This era sits just before the Sumerians developed cities and writing, which makes the figurines older than most recorded myths we rely on today. Workers lifted them from layers of packed earth and broken pottery, the pieces scattered rather than gathered in one clear space. The spread hints that the figurines held meaning across different settlements, yet researchers still do not know how people used them or what stories they represented. The strange design makes them stand out in museum halls. No surviving text mentions hybrid figures from this early period, and no carvings or tablets explained who they were meant to represent. Scholars proposed many ideas. Some thought they depicted gods from lost myths. Others believed they showed ancestors, marked with animal traits to signal power or distance from everyday life. There were suggestions of fertility symbols because of certain body features. However, none of these theories line up with reliable evidence. Without writing or consistent placement in ritual spaces, each explanation remains uncertain. The reptilian heads keep returning as the biggest question. Why choose that form at all? Experts agree the choice was intentional, yet the reason slipped away thousands of years ago. Visitors can see several examples at the Iraq Museum in Baghdad. Other pieces once held abroad may return, though many remain locked away or left unrestored after years of conflict. Their surfaces show age, and some limbs are missing, but the faces still stare with the same fixed calm. Modern researchers continue to test ideas through comparison and study, hoping to connect the figurines to early belief systems. For now, they act as reminders that ancient objects can survive long after the stories that shape them disappear. The Ubaid lizard head figurines show how much of early human thought remains out of reach, waiting for answers we may never find. Phaistos Disc. The Phaistos Disc holds attention the moment you meet it. This circular clay object carries two sides packed with stamped symbols, arranged in a clean spiral that leads the eye inward. Each side shows tiny images of people, animals, tools, plants, and shapes, repeated in careful sequences. In total, there are 241 symbols, and every one appears pressed into the clay with small stamps, not carved by hand. The method makes the disc feel almost modern, as if someone planned a printing system long before printing existed. The surface shows confidence in design, and the spiral layout suggests a message meant to be followed step by step. Archaeologists uncovered the disc in 1908 during work at the Minoan Palace of Phaistos on the island of Crete. They found it in a basement room, stored beside broken tablets and pottery, dating places at around 1700 BCE, during a period when the Minoans created complex art and early writing. Other Minoan sites produced clay tablets written in scripts now called Linear A and Linear B. Yet the Phaistos disc refuses to match either one. Researchers compared the symbols to Egyptian hieroglyphs, Anatolian markings, and many scripts from the wider Mediterranean. None fit. The disc stands alone, without family or descendants, which leaves experts without the usual tools for translation. Some of the images look familiar, yet meaning slips away under closer study. A helmeted head could be a warrior, or a god, or a symbol for strength. A plant could mark a crop, a season, or a place. A running figure might show movement or ritual, or simply a name. The spiral could read from the edge to the center, or from the middle outward. Every choice changes the possible message, and none can be proven. Because this script appears nowhere else, there is no second object to compare patterns or frequencies. Scholars debated whether the disc holds a prayer, a legal record, a list of offerings, a charm meant to protect a household, or even lyrics for performance. Each proposal gathered support, and each proposal fell apart under new tests. Without a shared point of reference, interpretation turns into careful guessing. The disc lives today in the Heraclean Archaeological Museum on Crete, kept under strong lighting and firm security. Visitors lean close to read the explanation labels, only to find that the heart of the mystery stays beyond reach. Modern researchers tried computer models and statistical analysis to match the symbols to known language patterns. The programs return possibilities, but not conclusions. The disc shows how a writing system can appear fully formed, shine for a moment in history, and vanish without leaving a map to follow. Its presence reminds us that knowledge can survive, while meaning disappears, and that some voices from the past speak in patterns we can see, but still cannot understand. Shigir Idol. The Shigir Idol rises in its gallery like a wooden memory from a world we barely recognize. This carved figure once stood nearly 5 meters tall, shaped from a single large tree that lived more than 11,000 years ago. Its surface carries sharp geometric lines, zigzags, chevrons, and repeated patterns that flow across the body. Several carved faces appear along the front, stacked like watchers placed one above another. The wood is dark and weathered now, yet the markings remain crisp enough to show deliberate hands at work. Nothing about the figure feels casual, and every cut suggests a message meant to endure. Workers uncovered the idol in 1890 in the Ural Mountains while digging through a peat bog. The wet, airless soil preserved the timber far beyond normal limits, allowing a rare view into deep prehistory. Later radiocarbon tests placed the carving around 11,500 BCE. This timing shocked researchers because it makes the idol older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge, and older than the earliest known farming communities. When the tree was felled and shaped, mammoths still moved across parts of Eurasia, and organized writing systems remain thousands of years in the future. The discovery expanded what experts thought humans were capable of during that age. The carved patterns carry the most weight. Some lines loop in repeating sequences, while others cut straight paths broken by small marks. A few experts proposed the design served as a symbolic code, perhaps marking stories, territory, or ancestors. Others suggested the figures represented spirits or guiding beings that protected groups as they traveled. There is also debate about whether the idol once stood upright in a specific landscape, marking a sacred location. No theory has gained firm agreement, because no matching objects survived to confirm a shared system of signs. The idol stands almost alone, and its meaning remains sealed inside the wood. Visitors can see the reconstructed idol at the Sverdlovsk Regional Museum of Local Lore in Ekaterinburg. Curators assembled it from preserved fragments, stabilizing the wood and supporting the structure so the figure can hold its towering form. The display provides views from multiple angles, allowing close study of the carved faces and repeating lines. Modern researchers continue high-resolution scans and microscopic analysis, hoping to match tool marks to known methods and uncover patterns that connect to broader symbolic traditions. Yet the core message still refuses to reveal itself. The Shigir Idol challenges long timelines of artistic development and symbolic thinking, showing that ancient humans carried ideas we can no longer translate. It remains a reminder that our earliest ancestors shaped meaning into materials that time nearly erased, leaving questions that echo across 12,000 years. Saqqara bird. The Saqqara bird draws attention because it looks like more than a simple carving. This small wooden model measures around 14 centimeters across the wings and carries the streamlined shape of a falcon. The wings curve slightly downward, and the tail rises into a vertical piece rather than spreading like a real bird tail. The wood is smooth from careful shaping, and the object feels balanced when held at its center. It is light enough to rest on 2 fingers, yet firm enough to survive centuries in storage. Archaeologists discovered the piece in 1898 at Saqqara, Egypt, during excavations that revealed many artifacts from later dynasties. Radiocarbon dating and style studies placed the bird around 200 years before the Common Era. Despite the clarity of the date, no inscription sits on the surface, and no written record explains why it was placed in the burial area. The absence of context prevents firm conclusions. The object was eventually moved to Cairo and catalogued with a neutral label that still reflects uncertainty about its role. The design elements triggered debate after engineers noticed the wing curvature resembles simple glider forms. Tests in small wind tunnels showed that the shape can generate lift when launched with moderate force. The vertical tail acts almost like a stabilizer rather than the broad fan seen in living falcons. These results encouraged speculation, yet they did not prove intent. Some researchers proposed that ancient makers studied airflow, while others argued the aerodynamic traits might be accidental. Without direct evidence, arguments remain evenly divided. Other ideas focus on ritual meaning rather than engineering. The falcon held importance in Egyptian belief, linked with the sky and divine authority. A wooden bird with advanced shaping could have acted as a symbolic messenger between the ground and the heavens. Some museum notes mention the possibility of a child's toy or a weather vane placed atop a staff, but these remain suggestions. Because no drawing or inscription confirms use, every interpretation competes on equal footing. Curators highlight the ambiguity instead of choosing a single theory. Today, the Saqqara bird is housed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, where its label states the function remains unknown. Visitors lean close to inspect the wings and tail, wondering why the maker shaped it with such care. Modern scientists run simulations and compare the object with gliders, yet no conclusion appears. The small model raises questions about ancient skill and forgotten knowledge. Stone spheres. The Dodecahedron stone spheres appear across the landscape of southern Costa Rica, and they do not fade into the background. These carved stones range from the size of a soccer ball to massive shapes weighing more than 2 tons. Each sphere shows careful smoothing, and many approach near perfect roundness. Granite and gabbro form the bulk of the material, which means the makers shaped some of the hardest rocks available. The surfaces remain weathered now, yet the balance of the curves still tells a story of patient work and detailed planning. When you see several grouped together, the sense of intention becomes difficult to ignore. Archaeologists trace these spheres to the Dodecahedron culture, which thrived between 700 and 1530 CE. Most discoveries came during the 1930s, when banana plantations cleared land in the Dodecahedron delta. Workers struck stone while preparing fields, and the spheres rolled into view after centuries of burial. Researchers mapped their positions and found lines, rectangles, and triangular layouts that hinted at organized placement. Some sat near ancient settlements, while others clustered on ridges that offered long views of the surrounding area. Because there are no written records from this society, Understanding their purpose depends entirely on physical study and comparison. Debate followed quickly. Some experts believe the spheres mark status or power, showing where leaders lived or where important events took place. Others argue they measured celestial paths, noting how certain groups align with sunrise or sunset points at key times of the year. A few saw them as boundary markers or territorial signs that guided travel and trade. Yet no supporting tools or inscriptions confirmed any theory. The shaping methods remain mysterious as well. Granite and gabbro resist simple carving, and no tool set recovered from the region links directly to sphere production. Experimental teams tried pounding stones and heating rock surfaces to test ideas, but no single method explains the remarkable precision. Many spheres now appear in the Museo Nacional de Costa Rica in San Jose, while others remain outdoors at protected sites in the Dequas Delta. Pathways guide visitors among them, allowing close views without disturbing placement. The UNESCO designation recognizes the cultural and scientific value of the clusters, even though the meaning behind them stays hidden. Research continues. Thanks for watching Museum Minutes, your stop for museum artifacts with high volume, broad appeal, and stories that refuse to settle. Each episode brings weird museum exhibits into focus, breaking away from the usual and showing how even familiar cases hide massive questions. These mysterious museum objects remind us the past isn't silent. It just speaks in ways we still struggle to decode. If today's discoveries kept your curiosity active, stay tuned. More strange finds, overlooked items, and unanswered puzzles are already on the way. Keep exploring.